So one day I was listening to the documentary of the post-Moi regime, meaning when Kibaki came into power, that is 2002. So I was listening to how this political pundit was explaining how the government really intended to go for Moi. He was saying that at one time, there is a section of leaders who are backing President Kibaki who wanted Moi to be hunted. So they wanted to take Moi down and they wanted to go for him completely. First of all, go for him in his wealth in the first place, and then secondarily, go for him on an individual basis, because it appeared that Moi created a lot of enemies by that time. So he was such a man who can also be said to be a dictator in a way, although this is subject to discussion. So some of the leaders wanted Moi to be hunted, and some of them wanted Moi to pay for his vices, which he caused during his time. But there is one man who protected Moi, and that is Raila Odinga. And also Moi Kibaki did not opt to use force to go for Moi. So in other words, Moi got an immunity which kind of came as a favor and nobody expected it, And at one time I listened to when Moi was following the subsequent event, and one of these journalists went and reported actually one of the scandals which happened during his time. And then Moi, it was Linus Kaikai who reported that. So Linus Kaikai went and mentioned something, and then Moi called him directly and told him, you know what, Kijana, I am no longer there. Don't attach me to anything. Don't even mention me in any of the things. I am no longer the president. I am relaxing. I don't want anything to do with the government past or what is in the future or what is currently happening. And so it's like Moi handled everything peacefully. Moi completely washed his hands from anything to do with the government. So I was giving you that to bring us to what we want to discuss today. Why is Matiang'i facing such kind of treatment? It is so unfortunate. Is there something that Matiang'i is holding? Is there something that Matiang'i is having endowed within him that the government is kind of afraid that if they don't go for him, if they don't hunt him down like a dog, then this man might do something nobody ever thought? Could something like that be the case why this kind of pursuit is turning into this nature? And so, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that, when the moment we upload the videos, you get notified. Thank you so much for those who have subscribed, and we are continuing. Please just give this video a thumbs up. Now, one thing that I have noted, just like in Moi's era, Matiang'i caused a lot of enmity between him and the other leaders who are in Ruto's camp. And as at now, because they are the ones who have come into power, definitely this enmity is showing up. It cannot be suppressed because some of the leaders are feeling the heat within them to go after some key leaders. And the very, very instrumental leader in Uhuru's government, especially in the period of 2017-2022, was none other than Matiang'i. And so he took over the government. He was the one running the government, and he was the one actually trying to align every vices to meet any virtue that they thought were to be portrayed by the leaders. And so any actually stand action or any kind of force that was to be used by the government, Matiang'i was the central command center. He was the one who authorized everything and ensured that if it is a matter of deploying the security forces, the operations and the rest, he was the one to handle everything. And so by doing that, because we understand the kind of political heat which was in the campaigns, and even prior to that, you will not hesitate to confirm that there are people who are really angered by Matiang'i. There are people who are made to develop that kind of hatred to Matiang'i to the extent that, their hopes which they really held high, that the moment they come into office, they must do something. And this thing is in the form of revenge. And so if you don't go into the nitty-gritties, like maybe what is it that they were going to search for in Matiang'i's home, then the first thing is the heated enmity that Matiang'i created between him and these leaders. You remember it is Matiang'i who took up Ruto's role, and people who are backing Ruto, the lieutenants of Ruto were very, very angry with that. And so it tells you definitely that it was just a matter of time that the confirmation of a new government, if it was not pro-Matiang'i, then definitely Matiang'i was to be in a hot soup. Okay? Matiang'i was to be pursued angrily. And that is exactly what we are seeing happening. One of the negative consequences of this is the fear. The fear that it sends in the minds of the people, and generally the entire nation. People are fearing who is next, what is it that is going to happen next. These officials who served in the former regime, they are now Kenyans who are not actually serving in the current regime. And so what is the status of their independence? What is the status of their freedom? What is the status of their free will to continue living as citizens minus being pursued in this manner? And then the second thing, the local politics might be attached to this, because, Matiang'i is a man who was once seen as an appropriate successor of President Uhuru Kenyatta. In fact, before Raila declared that he was going to contest, one of the people who are being seen as viable candidates is none other than Matiang'i. And I remember one time, it started to cause fear, okay, in Ruto's camp, that Matiang'i could actually vie. And it was a force which cascaded down into everybody's mind. And by that time, Matiang'i was a performer. So when Matiang'i was performing and people heard that, this man can come up, then definitely there was a change in the political wave. The moment the government pursues him like this, one of the intentions is to actually silence him. And when he is silenced, that is a happiness to those who actually facilitated the move to be met to the end. And so the government needs to be very careful, because in as much as local politics might be at play, and maybe those who are instigating this trying to make sure that, Matiang'i is silenced, at the end of the day, it might, on the contrary, build Matiang'i politically. So this is a caution that they need to take into account, because if you remember what happened to William Ruto, this is exactly what happened to William Ruto. This is how he was kind of neglected, and everybody was seeing, and then people started to sympathize with him. And so there is only one aspect that Matiang'i has not started to come out to rebuke such activities and to stand against the actions which are being spearheaded by the government. Otherwise, if he is supposed to gain political milestone with this, then the moment he will come on board to start going out in public and saying, the reason why government is chasing me in this manner is this and this, then he will start gaining political sympathy. And that is how he will explode in politics. And who knows, it might be building him in the secret realm to an extent that with just a matter of time, he will explode, and it will be something people never thought of. And as a matter of fact, you remember the Ruaraka land, saga. It is also a bone in contention. And, for the government, because that land was deemed to be a government's land, and most of the people who are now backing Ruto were really vocal about it. And they found it as a political a tool to spearhead the agenda that, even in Uhuru's government, there are those who are land grabbers and there are those who are stealing land. And so this land issue, land question, is also one of the factors that is actually maybe leading to Matiang'i being hunted like this. It seems like Matiang'i has a database of information that the government is really yearning to get. And because Matiang'i was very central in the previous government, if the current government lands their hand on that information, then definitely they will be a notch higher in their steps in as far as the interior matters is concerned, and in as far as the key practices of the government, the key secrets of the previous government are concerned. And this will give them a kind of added a stand to maybe fashion their war on graft in the first place, or to pin Matiang'i down, or to continue with the politics of the day, which of course never ends. I don't know what you have from my side, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think. Maybe you can tell me. Let's have this conversation continuing. Make sure you subscribe, and may you have a great time.